Welcome to the Straight Line Podcast. Got a very interesting guest with me today. I've actually been wanting to get hold of him for quite a while. The reason why I say it's interesting and why I think it's important that everyone has a listen to what he says, especially our youngsters out there and our parents, is that he spent the last couple of years studying in America, and he's going to explain to us or talk to us a little bit more about how we got there, the process, so that if you are thinking about exploring the option further down the line, here's some first inside intel. Dillon, welcome to the show. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
So, I've known you for many, many years. I mean, your parents brought you and your brother to the track, 7, 8 years ago, and I've watched you progress over the years. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, one of your breakthrough results was the 2018 SA Time Trial Champs.
Yes.
Under 17, you were third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was it, 2018?
Yeah, it was 2018 in Oudtshoorn.
Yeah, I remember that because I was still working at the Van Wyks, and throughout the day we got reports. I said, shit, Dillon ran third. Okay, lekker. And then from there you just went tup. You increased a hell of a lot.
Yes.
Before we get into the stuff about America and the type of racing there and what we can do, to get a background story, so 2018 you ran third in the time trial at SA Champs.
Yeah.
And then from there, what made you decide, okay, look, the track cycling, I enjoy the pursuit type event, I enjoy the points race event. How did it progress from there?
So, 2018, I was still in the 17. Basically, before that Nationals, I was training a lot with Martin van Wyk.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was really encouraging and helped me through a lot. I had problems with my weight.
Yeah.
I was 80-something kilos. I'm 70-something now.
Sure.
And I was a lot shorter.
Yeah.
He helped me through getting ready for that Nationals, training out here. And that got me to that point. From there, I just started thinking that if I really wanted to do this, I need to start taking it more seriously.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually started riding my bike more. I usually just did the weekends.
Yeah.
Skipped off in the week. I would say I was sick or I don't feel like riding there and there, but it was just me being lazy. Yeah.
What made you decide, hey, I'm sick of giving these BS excuses and I actually want to do this? What was the trigger?
I don't really have an idea. I know Martin had a big role in it.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how, but yeah, it was just something he said to me made me rethink about why am I cycling? What do I want to do? Do I really just want to be a fun rider? Yeah. Which is also fine, just riding on the weekends.
Yeah,
or do I actually want to compete and do something?
Well, from that point, we decided, this is something I'm really going to commit to, something that I want to do. Your progression rate went from year to year to year to year to year.
Yes.
SA Junior Champs. Did you win the time trial in the junior category, or did you win more titles on the track?
No, it was only at the track. I won I think I was part of the team pursuit that won that year.
Yeah.
And the points race.
And the IP, did you win that?
I got second to Tiano.
Tiano beat you. Well,
yes.
I mean, it's not that good to come second, but I mean, a guy like Tiano, his class, you'll take that.
Yeah.
And then, while you were junior, you're progressing the ranks, you're doing all the training, you're getting better. I remember you also had a stint with Tony and Rebecca at Pro Touch. Now, was that in your junior years or when you had finished your junior years?
I think that was when I finished my junior years it was in COVID that I did the racing online.
Yeah.
And I think Rebecca linked me up with Sotiri from Delforno.
Yeah.
And then I rode on Delforno for that next season.
Yeah, because I remember in COVID times, Swift racing was big, and there was a whole big series, and they had a final at a big studio. I remember I came through and I watched that, and I saw that you were on there. You won it, didn't you?
I got second to Travis Stedman. It was Nationals. Yeah.
Okay. Again, I mean, if you come in second to Travis, it's not like it to come second all the time, but when it comes second to Travis, you'll take that.
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And then talk us, backtrack a little bit. Your junior years, you're performing well. You got selected to go to Junior World Track Champs. That's obviously, as a youngster and for everyone in the family, it's a highlight to go to that event.
Yeah.
So you went there. Was it what you were expecting? Was it harder? Was it easier?
I think it was a mixture of everything. I was going there expecting it to be really, really hard, with the big goal of qualifying for the final for the points race.
Yeah.
And we wanted to break the national team pursuits record.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was expecting it to be really hard, which it was. And yeah.
Do you remember what time you ran in the IP?
I didn't do the IP there.
Did you? Oh shit.
No, I did try. That was the next year. I tried to break the national record at Belleville in COVID.
Yes, I remember you. You ran 27.
Yeah, 26.8 or 27.
Yeah,
yes.
I remember that because I was again still working at Martin's place, and there was a live stream of it.
Yeah.
I remember the office. We were sitting around at Tanya's computer watching that. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you go through all these processes. Then when did the option or the idea of studying in America and racing in America come about? I mean, how did that happen?
So I think if you backtrack quite a bit to when I was really younger, I really wanted to study abroad.
Okay.
So I had the idea in my head, and then for prep for Junior Worlds, we went to T-Town in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We were there for about 3 weeks, and I really loved it.
Yeah.
So I decided I really wanted to go race there. It was in the back of my mind still. Later that next year, I started applying there to the US.
Yeah.
Nothing really materialized because it was really expensive still. So I was just still looking into it. It all actually just got finalized, me going to America, about 3 weeks before or 4 weeks before the studies started.
Okay. And then did you apply for a bursary, or was it purely going in there to study?
So I got a scholarship for academics and for cycling. And yeah.
Okay, so kids, parents, listen at you. Just say that you got a scholarship for cycling, which is lovely, as well as academics. So I know I argue with a lot of you youngsters out there, you've got to get your studying work done. Here's a prime example. It can be done. So, okay, so you got your scholarship for university. Where is it?
I am in St. Louis, Missouri, which is pretty much in the central of the United States.
Okay, so it's not East Coast or West Coast. It's slap bang in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And then, how long? When you walked in here, I asked you this question. What are you studying? You said computer sciences.
Yes.
How long has the degree been?
So it's normally 4 years, but I'm finishing up in 3 years because I also did a semester at Tux, which I got some credits which I could take over.
And then you finishing up now early this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you were saying when you came in, today's Monday, and you're flying back to the US on Friday, and then from there you got another 3 months, and then you finish your study.
Yeah. So Friday I go to Rwanda first to go race Rwanda.
Yeah.
And then this next Sunday, the 25th, I fly back to go finish my studies.
Okay.
Which is about another 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also we touched on it a bit earlier. When you're there now, like, are you studying and writing only, or are you getting internships, or are you working on site?
Yes. So I study, I have my classes, I ride, then I also have some other obligations outside of that within the residential halls.
Yeah.
Plus then I'm also a worker for the residential hall. I also work off campus sometimes, and mostly volunteering off campus.
Yeah.
And then I have an internship as well.
So if you say you work off campus, is that got to do within your field of studies, or is that something else?
No, I just help out somewhere else.
Okay. And then you finish up just before the middle of the year. Mm-hmm. And then if this is something that you wanted to pursue, could you apply for residency in the States? And with you've completed your degree, would it be a bit easier to get residency in the States?
Yes. I would say in the field that I'm in, it makes it a little bit harder, the computer science field.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of American students studying it. But there is that possibility, especially like my girlfriend, she studied exercise science. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities where you can easier get into jobs at hospitals because there's such a shortage that they need people for that. Okay,
so where I'm going with this is if you do decide that you go to the States and you want to study something, there is an avenue for you to race your bike, which we spoke about now about the types of races. We will touch on this just now, that there is the option there. You can carry on racing, and with your studies, you can also pursue something further along those lines.
Yeah, there is. So it's quite a process, but pretty much once you get close to finishing, you get an opportunity to apply for an OPT, which is, I don't even know actually what that stands for completely, but it gives you authorization to work in the US for 1 year to 2 years post-studies. So pretty much you're still enrolled at your university, but you can work off campus.
Okay.
Get hired, which is how most people get their H-1B1 visas secured, which is your work visa.
Yeah.
And then from there on, it's a lot easier to get your green card and your
Okay, so just to summarize this, like when you mentioned earlier that you had started the process and thought about the process quite a long time before Junior Worlds and the Pro Touch year. So if there's a parent or child of a 16-year-old boy or girl that's listening to this and say, hey, look, I'm pretty good at my sports. I think I might be able to get a scholarship. My academics, I think I might be able to hack it. What would be your biggest point or biggest piece of advice to start thinking about now at the age of 16 or 17?
In what sense?
In the sense that, okay, like my daughter, I want to send it to the States. Okay, cool. It all sounds like and you can go online and you can find processes, but what would you think would be the best starting point?
Just keep on focusing on your academics, especially because they do have a look at that. Most of the schools require you to take some type of test, even if it's just an English test or the SATs to get in. Focus on keeping a list of your results. So even if you have a cycling resume, that's a good thing. If you don't have one yet, you should probably start making ones up, because the schools want those as well. And I'd say pretty much their semester starts in August. Yeah. Or you could start in January, but it's quite a tight thing from when we finish and the results coming out to start then. I'd say you should apply the year before you actually plan on going. So then, you go have a look. America's a massive place, East Coast, West Coast, and you go, like, I like that town. Yes. So we just go Google and just go to the town's universities and just send emails saying, this is who I am. I'm looking for a bursary. I mean, how did you go about doing it? Sorry, scholarship. How did you go about doing it? So if you want a cycling specific one, the best thing is to go to USA Cycling's website for collegiate cycling. Yeah. And then they have lists of all the universities that qualify in the varsity level, the club level. Club levels don't really have scholarships. The varsity levels do. It's like a team on the university. Yeah. There is, I don't know how many there are actually, but maybe like 15 to 20 teams that there is all over the country. Mostly located, I would say, Colorado and then more central of the country. Okay. Yes. So if I can think of a few names in my head now already, but I don't want to mention names. If you just look at some of the top performers in the under 17 and junior categories recently at South African Championships, which was 2 weekends ago, and even up here in our Gauteng Provincial Championships. So, you know, it's, like you say, start keeping a record of your achievements. If as a junior you do get selected to go to World Champs, I'm sure that will also set you in pretty good stead when it comes to applying for scholarships. Yeah. So especially international ones are always good, because being a national champion here or in Africa national or continental champion it looks good. They do like it, but also just so they can see on an international level how your racing is. Yeah. IP times help with that as well, but they like to see if you have some international experience for higher scholarships. Yeah. Yes. Well, I've said it actually a few times, that if you are a youngster being under 17 or under 19 rider, and your ambition is to go to junior world track champs, and you really, really want to perform, but don't really have the means to go spend 4 to 6 months racing and training in training in the big fancy tracks and all big fancy coaches, focus on the kilo and the individual pursuit, because you can go to a track like Hector Norris. I mean, it's looking a bit beat up, but the track itself is perfect. 1 kilometer is 1 kilometer. Yeah.
You can get all the work done. If you want to, you can do the training out on the on a quiet road on a track bike.
Yes.
There's not too much bunch riding, very little bunch riding skill that's required. It's just you and the clock and you and the watts and the aero positioning. South Africa is getting a lot more up to date with aero, and there's a couple of guys out there that do a good job. So you can get your aero stuff dialed in. You can get your hard work done in South Africa. So you don't necessarily have to go spend extended periods abroad if your intention is to ride a kilo on the track and an IP.
Yes, definitely.
And then also, you've been through the process quite recently. Do you think the same principle could apply for the time trial at World Champs? In the sense that if you aren't racing, I'm not going to use the word Europe because that's too cliche and too easy. If you aren't racing in an area, be it US, be it Australia, where your junior level is really, really high and you can race on a regular basis on a technical course with a lot of really good technical riders. If you aren't able to do that, to train in South Africa, they maybe go spend a little stint in Belgium or Holland. Guys go there because it's the easiest way to get there. And if you think that you're going to go to World Champs and think you're going to win or be in the top 10, I've got news for you. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you can spend your time in South Africa focusing purely on the time trial, again, same thing with the IP. You get your aero stuff dialed in. You get your power work dialed in, and if you can go backtrack for how many years the routes of World Champs, and you'll figure out it's not 10Ks out and 10Ks back. It's technical. So if you can practice that stuff in South Africa in the roads, do you think that's also a viable option?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that the good thing about the track is that it's the same everywhere. Their tracks are, I would say, arguably slower than our tracks even.
Sure.
Just because Hector Norris is at this altitude, it's a super fast track.
Yeah.
I'd say their track's probably similar to Belleville.
So
but it's outdoor. So
it's not like you're gonna ride a 340 at Belleville and think, oh no, I'm going to go ride at Grenchen, and yes, my times are going to automatically come down from 340 to 320.
I'd say if you go to like a wooden track, they will definitely come down, but the 340 to 320 is not going to happen.
No, not going to happen. Should we say 5 seconds on a wooden track?
Yeah, I'd say about a second a kilometer is how much you're going to save.
So if you are running at Belleville a 330, and you've got all the bells and whistles, and you're going to go across to race a World Champs on a wooden track. If you have it in Mexico, let's just say, and be a bit generous here, 5 seconds.
Yeah, it also depends on the tracks. Then, exactly. It's like Mexico is insanely fast. You have the temperatures. Belleville is known for being quite cold in the inside compared to those tracks. But in general, I'd say if you go to a sea level track, wood, compared to Belleville, let's say on a 3K, you might get between 3, 6, 7 seconds.
Maximum.
Yes. It depends on also your efficiency, because like Belleville's smooth for South Africans, but compared to a wooden track, it's very bumpy. So you could maybe put out more power on a wooden track, keep your position better, your lines.
But where I'm going with this is like if you're running a 330 here, don't think you're going to the World Champs and just somewhat chop off 12, 15 seconds. Like that,
definitely not going to happen.
You need to be running, if you want to go to Worlds and be competitive, you need to be running at least 312s, 315s on Hector Norris on a hot summer's afternoon, on a windless summer's afternoon, because then you can 312 maybe take off 3 to 4 seconds on a fast track, and even then you're running a 309. You might make the ride-offs. So where I'm going with this is, you have to do the hard work first. There's no magic formula that when you travel abroad and you leave OR Tambo, and yes, I'm out of here, poof, I'm automatically 15% stronger.
Yes. Yeah.
No ways. I mean, you've experienced it firsthand, and you know what it's all about.
Yeah.
We spoke about earlier before we went on camera here that the level of race, the level of university racing. So, okay, now you did what you went through. You met the academic requirements. You met the physical requirements. Okay, here I am. You land in the States. Here's the team picks you up or the university picks you up. Mm-hmm. Go to your digs where you're going to be staying. Here's the club and the team. Okay, now you go to your first race.
Yes.
Okay, now you're on the start line. You have a look around you. I mean, paint the scene for us. Are you looking at 200 riders? Are you looking at 50 riders?
So the first race when I got there, before nationals. The road season is a little different because that's more collegiate racing.
Yeah.
But track season, you do actual US track races to qualify for nationals, which is just you need to have bunch starts.
Yeah.
To make sure that you actually can race track races. So my first one was Midwest Challenge when I got there. The fields were probably like 30-something riders.
And on the track?
Yes, but it wasn't all collegiate riders. So there was the US national champion for the scratch race at that time and other races racing with us.
Yeah.
For the qualification races.
Okay, so is the level high? I mean, are the guys there taking laps on you and you looking, am I turning left, am I turning right? Shit, well, what's going on here? Or did you feel that immediately you were in the fight, to say, so you could compete?
I'd say on the track I felt like I could compete.
Yeah.
The level was higher than South Africa, but not much higher, not the international level of racing. It was just also a lot more. Like here, you'd have a track race, there'd be a few hard laps, and you'd be 4 people off the front lap in the bunch.
Yeah.
Where here, you'd race that pace, and there'd still be 20 people on your wheel.
Yeah, that's the difference. There, your racecraft and your race skill will start playing a big thing. Unfortunately, here you go to SA Champs. There's a handful of guys, rip the race to pieces. Then it's between 4 or 5 riders. I mean, there you'll do that. 2 or 3 riders get dropped. Everyone's still in the fight.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so the track stuff. When you got there, did you go straight into the track scene?
Yes. So track season runs from August to mid-September.
Yeah.
So it runs through summer as well, but the schools only start in August.
Yeah.
September. Then it turns to cyclocross season all the way to December, which I also took part in because it's super fun to race cyclocross.
That's
actually
interesting. Cyclocross, yeah.
Yeah. And then we transition. BMX is throughout.
Yeah.
Mountain biking is also in between there, somewhere in fall.
Yeah.
So, and then road season is from January all the way to May for collegiate racing.
Okay. Cyclocross. We haven't got that in South Africa yet. That's coming. You in your category. I mean, everyone been watching the Matthew van der Poel show this year. He's won, I think, 15 out of 14 races. Mm-hmm. Annihilated everybody. So Sunday afternoon, you sit in front of the TV and you watch it. But like in the States, there, I mean, typically, how big are the circuits?
I have no idea how big they actually are.
Okay, let me put it to you like this: how long did they feel?
Quite long. Like the one we have on campus every week, that one's not that long. But when you actually go to a race, there's so many corners, so many obstacles.
Yeah,
it's actually quite long. A lap takes quite a while. Yes.
So I've been trying to get the criterium scene going here in South Africa, and I think it's slowly starting to get there. And I saw this weekend in Grootfontein in Pretoria, they started a new thing now called XCC. I'll be lying if I said it's cross criterium style, whatever, but it is essentially that, guys get on the start line with their mountain bikes and they run a short circuit for a set amount of time. Yes. So the criterium, not a criterium, cyclocross race is not exactly based on time, but it's a similar concept. Mm-hmm. You ride around a circuit. It's not like a 4 or 5 hour stage, an hour max.
Yeah, our races are like 60 minutes plus a lap. Exactly.
So criterium racing, cyclocross racing, with the new thing that's happening in South Africa, which I think is a fantastic idea. Also short, half an hour around a little circuit. Mm-hmm. So from what I see, that seems to be a very good way to go. I mean, the European road racing scene, you're not going to replicate that anywhere else in the world. Mm-hmm. You've got the massive races, you've got all the road cups, you've got the sponsors, everything. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to do it that way. Go for a short circuit, round, you get your racing in.
Yes. The criteriums especially are I think, is the future of bike racing for most people.
Yeah.
It's such a fun environment, especially in the US. There's just so many spectators that don't even ride bikes. That's from that city. They would just show up and come watch because it's more a festival
Yes.
that they come and watch. And it's cheaper. You only have to close a few roads off, put some barricades up. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've made a note here. You're saying that you race quite a few crits, a few crits in the States. Tell us a little bit more about, where are these crits? I mean, are they out in industrial areas? Are they out in fancy estates? I mean, where are they? What are they?
Yeah, so it's a huge difference from like South Africa, wherever I've raced crits, where they put it outside of where people are. In America, they put it downtown on the cities. So they're all over the country. They're mostly in the middle of the country. It's where the big crit racing is. And they're in the middle of the cities. So the one we have in St. Louis is the end of the crit calendars, the American Crit Criterium Cup series.
Yeah.
That's in parks mostly, but you have like the Indy Crit, which is in Indianapolis, the center of Indianapolis. I don't even know which other ones they are.
But we were talking earlier about the NCL, where Reynard raced last year. Now, in layman's terms, do you go to your local bike shop or go online to the local entry portal and say, okay, I would like to race the NCL series today, and just tick on the box, or how does that work?
So the NCL is different. Your team actually has to enter it. Your team has to have a women's team to enter the NCL. So that's a whole different thing with like a point scheme, tagging in and out riders. It's actually very confusing to watch.
And with the university that you rode, could you guys, or would you guys be eligible to enter the NCL series, or does it have to be a professional team and meet certain criteria?
I would say if a university would want to do it, I believe it's actually quite a gray zone. I guess they would have to register to be a domestic elite team then as well.
Yes.
So maybe not, but they have the rider split to probably do it. Yes.
Okay, so it could work. And then if you choose to make the sport of bicycle racing your profession, and this is how you earn your income. If you chose to pursue criterium racing in the US, is it a viable option to become a professional? Is there money to be made within the teams and the salaries, the prize monies, the bonuses? Is it a viable option?
I believe if you are a US citizen, it's a very viable option, or a really, really good crit racer. It's a viable option that they'd sponsor you a visa, they'd pay you salary. There's like 3 or 4, 5 teams. It's actually growing every year, whereas it's going down every year. Some of the teams that's willing to pay salaries to race on their teams, but the prize money at races, you don't even need a team to go and race, and you could make a lot of money if you're a good racer.
I mean, I remember the NCL last year. I speak under correction, but I think over like 2 weekends, the prize fund was for the win like $1 million.
I heard something about $1 million, but I have no idea how it even got spread out.
I mean, wherever you are in the world, $1 million, that's some serious money.
Yes.
But yeah, we touched on this a bit earlier. So if you wanted to race on one of these professional teams, you would need to get a work visa. So it's not like you go to the consulate and say, please pick me, I want a work visa. You would need to apply for a skilled work visa.
It's mostly the team would help you apply for it, but that's if you're getting paid to race. If you're on a team like I am, a domestic elite team, where they don't pay you, they give you equipment, helmets, entries, accommodation, food for races, and transport, and then split the prize money. That is, you can do that on your student visa,
which I think is fantastic. If you're a youngster getting up in the world, you're getting your studies in, and you have the opportunity to race, and it's not costing you any money. I think that's a pretty good deal. But if you wanted to race on the professional scene, that side, so the team would need to almost sign as your surety with American embassy, stating that this rider is with us and we do want him for his particular skill set. So then that would put a lot of the onus onto the team itself to sign a non-American rider.
Yeah, it's something in that sense, yes, for the H-1B1 visas. I'm actually even not completely sure how it works, but it is, you have to have a company that is actually sponsoring your visa.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm just asking a lot of questions because we watch the NCL stuff, and if you haven't watched it yet, I suggest go Go look up NCL League. Look at the LA Legions. They've got a pretty good thing going there, and then the racing seems pretty legit. But you made a comment just now and it made me laugh about, okay, the crits, they take you into the downtown of the cities and they make you race around there. Mm-hmm. You said something about they race you on South African quality roads down there.
Yes, so I said like South African fixed quality roads. So there's normally no potholes, but it would be like someone just came around and poured some tarmac into the holes, and now there are bumps all over the place.
Well, at least they do repair the holes, and they don't just put a cone there and the guy flags, so we'll try and get around it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So like the most downtown ones are like that, but then we have some crits that are like on beautiful surfaces. Yes. Yeah,
I raced once in America. We did the US Pro Champs in Philadelphia, and I just remember we were going up that Manyang wall. It's steep and terrible, but there were so many people there. Mm-hmm. 10 deep, and the Manyang wall. I just remember looking up and going, geez, it seemed like it went from here to the moon. Mm-hmm. But just the support for circuit racing there, it seemed, from what I remember, is huge.
Yeah, it is insane. Like, especially, I would say that most crit races on the American Crit Cup League have spectators at them quite a bit. But like Tulsa especially I would even compare it to going across the line in Glasgow. The amount of spectators that they have on Tulsa Crybaby Hill, Tulsa finish line day 2.
Sure.
Just it is like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of people on both sides of the course, lining it all the way around, just screaming and shouting and going absolutely crazy.
That's like as a bike racer, that's what you want. You want to race, intense race, people around watching the event. I think a criterium race and a circuit race it's the ideal formula. The bike riders get to feel what it's like to race in a pressure cooker. Mm-hmm. The spectators get to see what the riders are doing. And then sponsors, if you want your brand out there and you want to be associated with that, this is the perfect platform. Everyone's here, everyone's engaged in that event. Mm-hmm. So, and everyone knows I am biased towards criterium circuit racing. It's an absolute no-brainer. Mm-hmm. And particularly in South Africa, that the overall level of rider skill and bike racing skill is not ideal, because a lot of the youngsters are bored up doing a 100K fun ride and thinking, oh, this is a bike race. And I've said this before, you're 20Ks that way, 40Ks that way, 20Ks that way, you come back into the finish line. That's not a bike race.
Yes.
You need to learn the technical skills. I mean, you've seen it firsthand, you've lived it firsthand there. I mean, what's your opinion? I mean, is a 100K fun ride good for under 17 rider, or an hour-long crit to be an overall good bike racer?
I think an hour-long crit. If you just take me, for instance, showing up to the US my first year, the first month or 2 of crits, such a learning curve. I can show up to the start line, maybe I'm in the top 10 of the strongest people that are there. That did not make a difference, because racing in a bunch of 100 and something people with 7, 8 corners over 1 to 2 kilometers, really it's not about power anymore. It's about how you can work in the bunch, hold your position, move up through the bunch to save energy. Because you just can't, even if you're the strongest rider, you just can't afford to keep on dropping back through corners, sprinting all the way up, dropping back through corners, sprinting all the way up.
I mean, and clearly you've got the engine. You won SA at under 23 time trial champs last weekend, and you've placed on didn't you win it the year before as well, the time trial in Oudtshoorn? So you won Oudtshoorn and you won in Meyerton. So you've got the engine. It's not a question about does he, doesn't he. You've got the engine, but it's that riding skill that's so important.
Yeah.
Okay. Then another thing I wanted to talk to you about here. Where to from here? What is Dillion Geary doing? You finish up college or you university in the middle of this year. What's your plan? Where do you want to be?
I have no idea, honestly. I have a few plans. I'm waiting on my Australian visa that I've applied for to move there with my girlfriend.
What type of visa did you apply for?
It's a partnership visa. Okay. So you and your partner can move there.
Okay.
Yes.
And then when you're there, would you want to get racing? Get involved in the racing? Where is it?
I'm going to Adelaide. So
Adelaide.
Tour of Down.
Tour of Under is.
Yes.
Okay. Daryl Impey, Greg Mayland. Look out for this man. Okay, so what you're saying now is, are you planning to go to Australia, or are you planning, still wanting to go throw your hand in in Europe, or even have a go in America?
I would really like the opportunity to still go race in Europe. That's one of my big goals, just to go race on a continental team, do some of the big races and see where I can take the sport. But I definitely will still continue racing in Australia, even if I go there. Hopefully get on a good team there. And I also know they have a few continental teams that go race in Europe sometimes. Yeah,
they've got a pretty good setup there. I've spent quite a bit of time in Victoria, in and around Melbourne, racing there. Over the years, obviously not so much recently, but there's a very, very good criterium culture there, especially in Melbourne. I mean, I spoke to Agostino Giramondo end of last year, and he was telling me that they have 4 criteriums every week.
Wow.
4 crits every week in and around Melbourne. So yeah, they've got it's a very strong culture. And I would imagine Adelaide would have something similar to that. Again, Daryl and Greg, hook this man up. All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming through today, having a chat with us. So hopefully the youngsters out there, parents out there who are wondering about getting bursaries or scholarships to study in America, this is, Dillon's been there, he's lived it, he's done it. So what he says, you can listen to it. I mean, it's the truth. And then I'm sure he's a pretty cool guy, and that if parents have any questions, I'm sure they can get a hold of you. What would be the best platforms to get a hold of you? Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram, DMs.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you've got any questions, speak to the man. He'll help you guys out. Anyway, thanks for the chat, and we will be watching you.
Thank you.
Ciao, man. Cheers.
Cheers.